Hi, everyone. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio, where our mantra is educate, enlighten, and entertain. Folks, I have a phenomenal guest with me today. I am proud to announce that my guest is a local resource, just the next town over from me, that I didn't know about. And I feel like we don't know about our local resources. And it's good to know those. It's good to know, regional, national, international resources as well. And I always like to bring on guests who can help you, the audience, have a better caregiving experience, help your loved one have a better journey, and a better quality of life. And we're here to help you. And with me today is Adrian Allotey. She is a ElderCare Specialist, aging companion, and End of Life Doula. Adrian is owner and founder of You Are Not Alone ElderCare LLC. Love the name of that. Adrian is also a speaker and trainer, and Adrian has made her life's mission to promote the aging years as a sacred, beautiful, honorable stage of life. Adrian provides mental stimulation, engagement, and socialization to the aging. Dancing with Death with Adrian Allotey, what aging companionship looks like with Adrian Allotey. And I want to welcome Adrian Allotey to Chatting with Betsy.
Well, thank you so much, Betsy. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? Thank you for having
me. Dancing with Death. That's a pamphlet or is that a book, Adrian? I'm sorry, I forgot. I forgot to write that down.
Sure, Dancing with Death is my story, but it's in a video format. It's how I got to where I am, and the difference that I make in the lives of the people that I work with as well as their loved ones. And it really keys into at the time, I think the video was made maybe 2019, and at the time it was a very sacred and beautiful passing that I actually participated in. And if I had the time, I would redo that video over and over and over again because it really has only gotten better and more beautiful since that 2019 video.
I did watch it. I'm trying to remember. Is that on your website or is that on YouTube, or both?
Yeah, so it's everywhere. It's everywhere I go. I use it a lot in my trainings to show people that, and I hate to use the word quality because if you say quality, you almost imply that a person can be not quality, and I don't agree that that's the case. But I use it in my training to show people how we can really turn, I guess a better way of saying it is our last breath from being a medical event to being that of a more human event. And so I use it in a lot of different capacities. But it is on my website. It's on YouTube, social media, you name it, it's out there.
Oh, okay. And I have to say that Adrian, she's a local resource. She's in Colonia, New Jersey. I'm in Isla, New Jersey, and I did not know about you, Adrian, until someone on Alignable told me about you. So when I was told, or asked, Adrian Allotey, I was like, no, I have to check out Adrian. I could have used you when my husband was alive. And I just really am very passionate about providing people with local resources because we don't know what's in our own backyard sometimes. How far do you travel in your work?
So when it comes to, and I really appreciate you sharing that and being vulnerable, and I do hear that a lot. I hear when people hear what I do and I give them, examples of what that looks like, they say, wow, if only I had known. So I have to tell you, just like this is my title, you're not alone in that there are people who wish they did have an end-of-life doula walking them through an advanced stage illness until that last breath, advocating for them, showing them that there is, a different way of doing death. I think that people who are in this death work, as it relates to the medical team, they get in it for all the right reasons, but, there are, as we all know, gaps in our medical system, whether it's because they're overwhelmed, their schedules are stretched, or, the bureaucracies of, the insurance companies only paying but so much. So I appreciate you saying that. And, like I said, a lot of people, I hear that a lot. If only I had known. So yeah, Colonia is like, Island is my back door. I probably could throw a rock at your house and and it lands. But I'm sorry. What was your question again, though? I can go off on a tangent because I love what I do.
That's okay. I love people who are passionate. It was when I heard that you were in Colonia, I was saddened because I didn't know, like, you were a next door neighbor almost, and how close you were, and that I didn't know about you. I felt a little sad, to be honest, because you know what, folks, unless someone tells us about someone, most likely we don't know. And I wanted to know, how far do you travel? Do you just travel throughout the state of New Jersey, or you just do close?
Yeah.
To Colonia Island.
Yeah. So even though you're in my backyard, when it comes to end-of-life work, I do travel the state of New Jersey because there aren't that many end-of-life doulas. But before I go on with myself, I just want to say that I understand your feelings of being saddened, but let me tell you, what I know in this work is that each and every passing happens the way you're supposed to. And so if there were any obstacles or, things that you felt, weren't done correctly, I can tell you that there probably was a lesson that you or I believe you're speaking about your husband, if I'm not if I'm correct,
That's true. Mm-hmm.
that there were probably a lesson in that you needed. I am of the mindset that each and every, death is equally beautiful and equally, it happens exactly the way it's supposed to. And so sometimes we think that things are obstacles or, troubles in our way. And I think that they're learning lessons, and that sometimes, those things that we have to overcome and make us feel uncomfortable, in the end make us stronger, make us be able to show up. If you had not had that experience, maybe when you saw, Adrian End of Life Doula, you wouldn't even have, it wouldn't have resonated with you. And so therefore the fact that it resonated with you, you're now able to share with, with your audience. And so, sometimes we can look at a situation one way, or we can, just sort of make one change in a story and it becomes a whole new story. But I do travel the state of New Jersey because I think that it's important that people know and understand and have access to, non-medical people, professionals that can come alongside of you, prepare you for that last breath, hold your hand through it, and then help you create a new normal.
Yes. And you know what, Adrian, you are so correct, because I learned, lessons. And that's why I like to pass on my lessons so other people can learn from me, from my experience. And that's why I highly am very passionate about, I did plan, Matt's end of life, and we had, the living will, and I had the funeral arrangements, all of that. I didn't know that there were end-of-life doulas in New Jersey. I didn't have a clue. I didn't think they were in New Jersey at that time 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago. And so I'm passionate about letting people know about resources that I wish I knew about. And that's really, I get very passionate about that. Because, Adrian, as you know, we plan everything else in our life. And talking about end of life, people don't like to talk about it. It's not pleasant, but it should be a conversation that needs to really be made comfortable. And I'm going to continue talking about it until it is comfortable. Could you please explain what End of Life Doula does? Because a lot of people say, oh, I never heard of End of Life Doula. What do they do?
Yeah. So it's a lot of people know birthing doulas, right? They provide that emotional, mental, and spiritual support to get you through a transition. And that's exactly what it looks like at the end of life. And so when you get your advanced stage illness, normally people enter into what we call like the shock phase, like the things that we thought was going to happen, or dreams, or whatever it is, like all of a sudden there has been a major change. And so, usually when I enter into a person's life and they've just received a diagnosis of an advanced stage illness, I'll come along and I'll sort of stabilize the environment, give them some sense of control. And how do you do that? You do that with resources. You do it with education. You do it with giving them a voice. And so you mentioned a living plan, and I think advanced directives are very important. I always tell people, I had my advanced care directives done by an attorney, but, a lot of times we'll do that work and then we'll put them away somewhere. And so, we have a conversation on what do you really want. Has it changed since you created your advanced care directives? Do you have advanced care directives? Do you know where they are? And so a lot of times I take people through, our state website. The health department has advanced care directives on the website. And what I think is more important than filling that out is having a conversation. Because a lot of times our healthcare proxies don't even know there are healthcare proxies, or they can't even fulfill our wishes. Like maybe our spouse can't do what we want to be done. And so it's a lot of education. I also create what I call a living well plan. And so, advanced care directives are when you can no longer make the decisions for yourself. And so I also want to know, well, what do you want to happen, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually? So together we create what that environment looks like in the last maybe hours, days, or months of life. I even will do a dress rehearsal because, like you said, the fear. And so if we can get everybody on that same page in the same room and talk about it, and maybe even practice it, it ends up sometimes bringing humor, but most importantly, it lessens the fear because you have a sense of what might happen, what the normal stages of death are, and what it looks like for the disease process that is in your family or in your loved one's life at that moment. And so it can be, the services can really range. One of the things I'm really adamant about is, sometimes people stop showing up because they don't know what to say or do. It's not that they stop loving you. They don't want to say the wrong thing. And so I will ensure that through like life reviews and conversations that people don't see the disease first. They see the person. They see their life contributions, all the roles, all the differences that they make. We do a lot of informal life reviews where we just bring back those memories to the top, where all of a sudden the disease will take second precedence. When you walk in a room, you should not see the disease before you see the person. Every family is so different. We may create remembrances, whatever it is. Sometimes there are some practical things. I tell people one of the hardest things for me to do is to watch someone go through a long illness, and then the person takes their last breath, and then they have to, prepare for a funeral. So, is there any funeral planning that you want to, actively do when you can? Do you want to write your own eulogy? What's important to you? One of the questions I ask, do you want to be taken out during the day when you take your last breath? We know when someone like our neighbor is passing and everyone's looking out the window, And usually, I'll find that someone will say, well, I don't want to miss such and such looking at me. Okay, we'll go through the night. So it's a lot of education. It's always about making sure people know, too, that the medical pieces are in place, right? I'm the eyes and ears for the hospice team. I encourage and motivate people to bring hospice in because they're going to handle the medical piece. And we all know what happens. Sometimes we go into a doctor's appointment, and all of a sudden we say, when the team leaves, what did they say? So it's really about advocating, meeting people where they are, providing a safe place to deal with maybe some emotional, mental, maybe baggage that they haven't dealt with but they want to deal with before they take their last breath. So the services really do range, but most importantly, it's just being there, being a safe place to listen to what their concerns are, to answer their questions, to bring in the resources as necessary, and to, hold their hand, do it.
Yes. I think it's so important to have that support, and I think that people who are end-of-life doulas, I think that's really, in my opinion, a very special calling to be with a family, to be with someone, and share that very close, intimate experience of passing on to the other side and helping them through that, not just through it, but then afterwards. I just think it's a beautiful job. And a lot of people don't think of it as a job or as a mission, but I really think that people have to be a very special personality to be a end-of-life doula. And I'm grateful for people like you, Adrian, who are end-of-life doulas and who can be there for families, because sometimes there is no support.
And let me tell you, one of the things I've learned, within the last year or two, is that if you empower a family, sometimes they don't need you at the end. We've done enough work and they're receptive to all the lessons along the way. I'm finding that families sometimes at the last moment will say, I got this. And maybe they'll text me and ask me a couple of questions, when the person goes into the active dying phase. But if we've done enough of the work around it, to me that's like the greatest gift. I don't need you. I got this. And so, like I said, within the last year or so, I've learned that lesson, and I think that that's great. It is, my winning formula is I take really good care of myself. I open my heart space. I tap into my intuition and my higher power and the power of the moment, and I serve. So when I tell you what a doula does, it's what the need is. It's identifying the need, whether someone says it or doesn't say it. Like you're in a true alignment that you can pick up on things. Maybe it's a frown when something is mentioned. Maybe it's the wrinkling of the forehead, or vice versa. Maybe it's a smile, and you say, oh, okay, we're on the right track.
Yes. It must be very rewarding in so many ways to know that you helped someone and a family, the person who's dying. I could just picture it being very rewarding. I mean, I worked as a nurse, and that was rewarding. And just to be able to serve people and help people is very rewarding.
I would have to agree. One of the things I want to comment on, too, is, once that person, and you mentioned it a little bit, but you kind of went quickly over it, once they take the last breath, that body doesn't have to be whisked away. And so I educate them on, what do you want any rituals? Do you want me to help you create a ritual? What do you want those moments to be like when the body is still breaking down?
Yes.
And the other thing is you don't have to go to the funeral home at 8 o'clock in the next morning. You just dealt with, a huge, you just, spent a huge amount of energy. What can we do to possibly regroup and come together and maybe reflect before we go right into the memorial service planning outside of our home? Maybe there's some work that you could do, as a family unit, as the loved ones.
Yes, I wish that more people would realize that, they don't have to take the body right away. And sometimes it does take a while. And if you use a funeral home, for them to come get the body, people might think that Josh and I were nuts. Josh is my son. Matt died early, like 10 to 7 in the morning. And we stayed there until the funeral home picked him up, and we even ate breakfast in the room. I couldn't leave, Adrian. I just could not leave until I saw Matt's body being taken away and be able to say, last, see you later, to Matt. And I know that, different people have rituals of bathing and dressing the person, preparing them, that I did not do. But just to be there and not to rush out of the room, but just to be in the person's presence who just passed away was something special to me, that I just wanted to be there. And that's another reason why, I really highly recommend pre-planning whatever you want and whatever the person wants, so that you are not frazzled and having to plan right after your loved one dies. That's already been planned. All you have to do is call up and say, I want the service on such and such a day. And if you need to bring down the final check or whatever, it was all taken care of. So I didn't have to worry about that. I just got in contact and worked out a date of Matt's service. So that was a big, huge relief. I also wanted to ask you, Adrian, you're ElderCare Specialist and Aging Companion. So then can someone hire you just to, for a couple of hours for you to be with their loved one while they go out?
They can. Yes. And so when I say an aging companion, that allows the space for people to have a quality of life. And so I come along and I create an individual care plan based off the core of who they are. And so our cores are bigger than, our job titles, being a grandmother, being a grandfather. So it may be respite for someone to be able, like you said, the caregiver to go out. But for me, it's an assessment. It's me making sure that they're safe in their environment. It's me leaving back, when I leave, leaving resources and, sharing what did we do. So for the person who is hanging out with me while the caregiver is on, it's a lot of fun. It's engagement. It's socialization. But on my end, I'm also assessing. I am, leaving tips on what the next steps should be. This is what I saw. This is what it means. And so the person never realizes that there's an assessment because they're just being, engaged either emotionally, mentally, spiritually, cognitively. But it's more on my end. It's more than just, a good time. It's me really looking at, this is what I see. These are some red flags. These are some things that you're doing extremely well, and these are some things that may need some tweaking. So you're absolutely right that caregivers do need a break. They need a safe person to come in and, hang out. I also, which I think is very important, is I worked really hard to get insurance to drive people. And so I tell people that with my companionship, you can either find me sitting in a 5-star restaurant, or you can find me sitting in my car eating McDonald's and telling jokes. And so, again, it's all based off of who the person is. And so we may garden, we may go to concerts. Summer is coming up, this warm weather. There are so many free activities. There are a lot of free activities anyway when it comes to the senior population. And so we're out having a really good time. And it's not like I'm not a transportation service. I actively engaged in whatever activity that the person that I'm working with at the time engages in. But it's a dance. It's like me knowing when to step forward and me knowing when to step back. So that way they feel that sense of autonomy, they feel the friendship, they feel that sense of independence. And so when you keyed in on the specialist part, that's also me, with the assessment, me realizing that maybe I want to make some recommendations. It's me understanding the aging process and whatever thing that may be like a disease process that may be, either speeding up that aging process or, like, for example, I'm also a certified dementia practitioner. So I do find that a lot of my clients, do have dementia. And so when society may say that person should be sitting home, I'm saying, no, I think I could build out a care plan that allows them to go back and do the things that they, enjoyed most at one part in their life.
Oh, that is so cool.
Your modifications, accommodations, just support, again, to maximize where their strengths are and to minimize where their weaknesses are.
That sounds cool. So you're also a certified dementia practitioner. I
am, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, that
really just
handy.
means, yeah.
That comes in handy,
that really
yes.
Just means, yeah, it just means that you know how to care for all people. It just means that.
Well, I'll tell you, Adrian, I'm going to, just tell you my own opinion. I think, and this is my opinion, folks, and I never met Adrian in person. I met her via a video meeting, that you're unique in a really special way. And I think you have an edge up because someone can hire you first as a companion, right? You take them out to, their different activities. The family gets to know you. They get to know you. They know you're an End of Life Doula. And they can hire you for that particular, period in their lives. So I know this might sound crazy to some people, but how great is it that someone can be a companion when your loved one is out and about, and that person can take your loved one through to the end, and you had that trust, you had that friendship. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And so you hit it right on the nose. I like to call myself a forever friend, and my clients are forever friends to me. And you raised a really great point that it doesn't matter which part of where you are in your aging process. If there's any amount of decline that you can't live the life you want, I will come along and assist you with that. And again, at that point, I'm just, sprinkling those depth concepts, throughout our companionship. And the word doula, it really means a companion. That's what that means. It's a non-medical. It's a friend. It's someone who can show up and assist you through a challenging time. And so, as a companion, as we're building that friendship, I can, sprinkle the idea of those, depth questions and depth concepts. So at the end, you may not even need me as an end-of-life doula. And I'll tell you why I did this, because we all have a limited amount of energy. And what I found was that because of the trust factor, because of the time factor, because of the energy factor, families have a hard time allowing so many different people into their worlds. You got to know different energies and, different personalities and different schedules, where as I continue to do this since 2017, I sort of began to morph into the person that can do exactly that. So it limits the other people that may need to come in. But it's also a challenge, right? Because people don't know that they could have this great resource in one person.
Right, right. And, I mean, I don't know really. I know a couple of end-of-life doulas. They're not in New Jersey. They're in other places. And, they might be a nurse or they might have been certified a nurse's aide, nursing assistant. But you are all these things, a certified dementia practitioner, your ElderCare Specialist, your end-of-life doula, all wrapped in one. I just think that you're awesome, Adrian. The work that you do, you're welcome, provide is really, I think the whole state of New Jersey needs to know about you. I really do.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate that, and I will tell you that those who have had the opportunity and who have the opportunity now to work with me has never regretted it. Like they absolutely adore me. They adore my services. They know that they're better for having had me into their lives, and it's hard to let people into your life. And when they make that decision and say, I'm going to give her a try for whatever it is that they see in me, they never, ever regret it. I do want to emphasize, though, again, that I'm not medical, though, that if there's some medical need, that's when I will go out and I build these relationships with people in the community to say, okay, let's bring this medical person into this home. And because when we do have to bring in a medical person, and because they, trust me, they'll be open to, interviewing a person and make sure it's a good fit for them and all that other good stuff. So definitely not medical. I'm really looking at and there's so much research on how your emotional, mental, and spiritual affects your medical.
Yes. Oh, definitely. It definitely does. A lot of people. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So, like when you have adult children who maybe they keep getting the calls that mom is in the emergency room. Just having a friend like myself really limits that. It limits the emergency room visits. There's research on that. I'm looking out to see if there are any red flags. It limits, the chances of getting a UTI or having a fall or, all that good stuff because you have someone that's, the person who is aging, they are in their true space as well, right? So if you come along, you befriend someone, you don't have to have your guard up. Maybe when your adult child comes for that weekly visit or nightly visit, you may put up a guard because you still want to be the parent. And you may not see that the medicine is being dropped on the floor or, that, every time they get to this part of the rug, they lose their balance. And so it really limits the need for those medical interventions because we have already identified the red flags and addressed them and, come up with some really great solutions so that they're not in that emergency room.
Well, that's great because you refer people to, based on your assessment of what they need. If they need, say, safety measures in their house, like maybe a raised toilet seat or maybe a safety rail, referring them to agencies, that could help them. And a lot of times, people think, and it's great to have hospice, but hospice is not going to sit there with you in your home. They're only there for a certain amount of time. And that's when it's great if you need that extra support to have, for someone to have someone like you, Adrian, come and keep the loved one company or, just, I could imagine you must be part of a lot of people's families. They consider you a family member.
Yeah. And someone asked me the other day, well, do you stay in contact? I offer a little bit of grief support when it's over, but I'm not a grief counselor. But I do stay in contact with my, like adult children. Mostly I'm sending a text message like, oh, I was thinking about mom today, and this is why I was thinking about her. So informally, I do stay in contact, and they as well, with me. It really is I consider it a blessing that someone lets me into their lives, their homes, and their hearts. I don't take that for granted in the least bit. And as far as hospice, there is a National Hospice Palliative Care Organization, and at first, they weren't really sure, like, what's this doula? Are you trying to do what we do? But now they realize that, and they actually, hospice will refer us out. They actually welcome us because, like you said, we're there to linger. We have more time to really get an eye on what's going on. And so if someone's breathing is off, I always say like 0.00001, that means something to that, hospice nurse. She can begin to, she can prepare that if it changes even more, to have a solution readily available, to educate the family on, okay, the doula said the breathing was off, and I'm not exaggerating when I say 0.00001, because I can pick up on the slightest changes that could mean something medically, that the nurse can prepare the family and, again, minimize those physical effects on the person who is receiving that hospice care. And so I find they welcome me. They take my reports back to their IDT meetings, and it really is over the years has really been a great working relationship between hospice and myself.
Oh, that's great, because sometimes families need an advocate to intervene with hospice, because in my case, hospice didn't even believe me that Matt was dying, and that he was that agitated, and he needed to be up in that unit, that he needed help, and I had to keep fighting with them. But if I had you, they might have taken what was happening seriously.
Another mouth with the family, yeah. I mean, every so often I do hear those type of stories. Most times, hospice do listen, but every so often you will hear a story that you wish you didn't have to hear, or someone didn't have to live through. So I completely understand that. But I had an advocate once who told me everybody needs an advocate. Even myself, when she was in the hospital, she said, I needed someone, and I do this, I needed someone to speak up on my behalf, to join me in what I saw and knew was happening to my body. So I thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome. Adrian, it's been such a pleasure having you on. You are a wealth of information. You are a wonderful, wonderful resource. And I'll tell you, you're listening to this and you're in New Jersey and you need a companion, you need an End of Life Doula, please get in touch with Adrian Allotey. I really feel that, and I get, I don't know, I can read people's vibes. I think, Adrian, you're wonderful. And had I known about you 4 years ago, I would have definitely called you up. I would have hired you. I needed someone. And this is one of the reasons why I love doing what I'm doing, because I'm helping other people by knowing, resources like you, and to be able to tell people, here's someone that can help you. It just, that makes me happy. And
well, I thank you for that so much, Betsy. I thank you.
You're welcome. I thank you for what you do. Could you please tell the audience, and it will be in the blog, where they could get in touch with you?
So I am all over. My company's name is You Are Not Alone ElderCare. And like Betsy said, I'm in Colonia, which is a part of Woodbridge, New Jersey. I do travel the state. I'm all over social media, and my handles are YANAEC LLC. So that stands for You Are Not Alone ElderCare. So YANAEC LLC. I'm on LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, and I'm out there. And YouTube. If you find me on YouTube, you'll see a lot of my training. I offer a lot of free services because, everyone, may not be able to afford my services. So a lot of free trainings on my YouTube channel as well.
Oh, wow, that's great to know. And your website?
Yeah, so it's YANA. Let me back up. YANAEC.com. YANAEC.com, and that stands for You Are Not Alone ElderCare.com. So YANAEC.com, and my email address is Adrian ADRIAN period ALLOTEY at YANAEC.com. And then every so often I do get a phone call, 856-497-3512. You know, everybody's on social media. That's how they reach out. But 856-497-3512.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Adrian. And the information, folks, will be in the blog. I usually don't put, like, phone numbers in. Some people get, aren't real comfortable with that or giving out, but you gave out your phone number, so that's fine. Folks, you know, I'm so passionate about what I do, and really to know about a resource here in New Jersey, because to be honest with you, I did not know there were end-of-life doulas in New Jersey. I didn't even know it was legal in New Jersey.
Yes.
Especially 4 years ago. I didn't know.
And you know,
actually,
sometimes people will reach out to me. And I provide, which I didn't think was going to be possible, but like with COVID, it showed me it is possible to have a virtual companion and virtual end-of-life support as well. Like, I was really nervous about that because I'm like, how do you, can you really make that connection? And, Zoom has really allowed us to, make connections throughout the country. I have people that I see online. I engage. We exercise. We listen to music. We have conversations. There are so many online programs as a result of COVID happening that you really can do virtual companionship and do it extremely well.
Thank you, Adrian, for mentioning that, because I forgot to ask you if you do virtual throughout the U.S. If somebody wanted to consult with you or to, have you as a virtual companion. So that's great to know.
Yeah.
And you never know. I mean, you never know. There's going to be another pandemic, folks, that we have to go.
But you never know. Exactly.
Virtual again. Hopefully not. But I thank you for what you do and spending time with me today. And I want to thank Jeannie White, who is the station manager, who writes the blog. So please read the blog. We'll have information about Adrian Allotey, so you can connect with Adrian. And I want to thank Lillian Caldwell, who's the CEO of Passion World Talk Radio, who makes this all possible. And I want to thank you, the listeners. Thank you for listening, subscribing. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to Chatting with Betsy. It is for free on Spotify, Spreaker, iHeart, YouTube, to name just a few. And please share this show. Please share this show to help others. I want to help people. That's why I'm here, folks. And the more people I can help, that makes me happy. And it honors my husband's, Matt's, memory. And I would really appreciate it if you would share this to help other people, because why are we here but to help one another? I mean, that's how I look at it. That's my mission and vision, is to help as many people as I can before I leave this earth. And I just want to thank you all for joining me today. And as I always say at the end of my show, in a world where you could be anything, please be kind and shine your light bright, because if we all did that, it would be a much brighter, kinder world. And until we chat again, this is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio. Bye now.